to talk about solo travel and how to build the confidence in yourself to take this big step. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Patricia Brooks, and I'm an American living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And through my coaching and mentoring programs, I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives, living and thriving in a foreign country, even when it feels scary. And on this channel, I talk about my life in France, about moving abroad and how to dig down deep and find that grit and that determination so that you can live the kind of life you know you were meant to live. And today I'm going to talk about solo travel. I have a client who is planning to come to France for 90 days. And she shared with me that she's a little bit apprehensive about traveling to France, about the French airport and all of that. And I thought this might be a good topic for a video. And so I'm going to break this down into 4 elements. And the first element is navigating the airport. The airport is there to help you to get to where you want to go. And so there's certain steps that you will take when you get to the airport early so that you will alleviate some stress of racing to get to the airport. You're going to check in. Now, maybe you've already checked in early, but if you have a bag, you're going to go to a counter and you're going to drop off your bag. They're going to take your bag. They're going to weigh it. They're going to give you a claim check for that. They're going to hand you your passport back and your ticket. And they're going to tell you, oh, it's going to be gate whatever. And you can get to your gate by going, in this direction. I'm going to give you some brief directions. And you follow those directions. You're going to go through security. So knowing what you can and can take on board is important. So do your homework beforehand. That will alleviate some stress. But going through airport security is stressful. I think airports in general, domestic or international, are stressful places. But kind of having a sense of what is going to happen can take some of that stress away. So then once you get through airport security, you're on the other side. And now it's time to look for the gate that you are going to be flying out of. And the person at the desk who took your baggage has told you a gate, but you might want to check the board again because sometimes gates do change and you don't want to be at the wrong gate. And then you want to find that gate, even if it's really early, so you have a sense of, okay, now I know where I'm supposed to go. If you're really early, you need to understand when the check-in time is so you don't miss boarding, and you need to pay attention and be at the gate on time. Okay? So, and then you need to get on your flight, right? So that's pretty much it. Now, if you have a connecting flight, that kind of makes it a little more stressful because will the plane get there on time for you to make your connecting flight? All of those things may or may not happen. However, it's the idea is simple. If you do have a connecting flight, the flight attendants can help you know what gate you need to go to. If you are flying on the same airline, they're going to take care of your baggage. If you're not, then that poses another challenge for you that you're going to have to go get your bags and do the whole check-in thing again. But basically, that is it. So understanding what you're going to be needing to do to get on that flight so you can get to where you're going. And I know I oversimplify this because there are the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? And a couple weeks ago, the beginning of November 2024, my dear friend Felicia came to visit me, and she was flying into Barcelona. And this was her first solo trip internationally. And I knew that she was a bit apprehensive about this. But she came, and she got on that plane, and things did not go as planned. She was supposed to land at 9 a.m. in Barcelona. Her plane got off to a late start. There was bad weather in Barcelona, and her flight was diverted to Madrid. And when I saw that, I was at the airport. When I saw that her flight was being diverted, I thought, oh no. But I thought, no, well, she's going to handle this because you handle things that are placed in front of you. And so when she finally arrived the next day, because she had to spend the night in Madrid, she said that what she did was she opened her mouth and she asked some people who were sitting around her if she could tag along with them, people she heard speaking English, if she could tag along with them, because she wasn't really sure what to do and where to go. And the people said, oh, certainly you can tag along with us, but we don't know what's happening either. And they had a laugh about that. But in doing so, she was able to alleviate some of her fears. She felt safer, and she was able to navigate the situation, make a couple of friends in the process. So I just wanted to share that with you, because sometimes what ifs happen, but know that you are competent enough, that you are smart enough to handle those situations as they come. Okay? So number one is knowing what to expect when you are in the airport and how to navigate those things. Okay? The second thing that I think is helpful for you, especially if you're traveling to a country that does not speak your language, is to start to learn the language. Now, not necessarily for the purpose of getting fluent, but to help ease your way. And this can ease your way because when locals hear you attempt to speak their language, they open up. They're so much more friendly. But also, when you know some keywords and phrases, that can give you a sense of security as well. And one of the ways that I learn languages, French and now Spanish, is by using the Pimsleur method. And I'm going to put a link to that in the description of this video. These are audio lessons, so they help you to speak the language, not just read or write it. And when you're traveling, you're going to need to speak it. And it starts off with some things that you might need to know when you're traveling, like where is the bathroom? But if you don't have a lot of time to get up to speed with the language, or if your language skills are minimal, you can say bonjour and merci, and maybe that's it, then know that in your smartphone, you have an application that can help you. If you are truly in a situation where there is a language barrier, where the person doesn't speak your language and you don't speak theirs, or that the situation is a little more complex, pull out your smartphone, speak into your smartphone in your language, and put the target language that you want it to be translated into, and hold it up to the person, and it will translate and speak the language, that the translation of what you have just said. And then they can speak into your phone and say in their language what they need to say, and then you can hear it in your language, or you can read it in your language. Okay? So your smartphone is your friend in this instance. Also, if there are things that are written that you don't understand, it's written in a foreign language and you don't understand, and you kind of want to make sure that you're not doing something wrong or that you're going in the right direction, you can use your smartphone to scan using Google Translate, and it will translate fairly well. Now, I've used the Google Translate as I am continuing to learn French, reading some books that are higher level, and in some instances there is a page or two or three or maybe even more where I get the general idea of what's being said, but I'm not reading it in the way, my brain's not translating it in the way that is smooth, like if it were written in English. And so I scan that and I learn, that's how I would say this in French. I know how to say it in English, and when I see it in English and then I see the French, it's very powerful. So use the tools on your phone. And often, in the airport, there are people who speak your language. At desks, they'll speak your language. At hotels, they will speak your language. All right? Now, I think the third thing is that once you've navigated through the airport and you've landed at your destination and you're there, now you got to get to your hotel. And knowing what your process is going to be to get to your hotel. Where are you going to take public transportation? Okay, well, look at some videos on public transportation, and maybe you're going to Paris. There are videos that show you how to use public transportation. And I got to shift because my leg is falling asleep here. Woo! If you're going to take a taxi, know that, right? Have the the address of your hotel written down so they can read it if you can't speak it. If you're going to use Uber, have the Uber app installed. All right, so those are things to help you navigate getting to your hotel. And now I'm here in this place that I said I wanted to be, but I'm a little bit afraid to go out and explore. That happened to me when I first solo traveled in 2014. I was in Quebec City. I had navigated the airports. I navigated customs, all of that. I'd gotten out my taxi ride and got to my hotel. And I was like, oh, I'm here. But then I was afraid to go out. I think I arrived kind of late, so I had dinner at the hotel. The next day was when I recognized that I was stalling to get out of the hotel. Woke up pretty early, and then 9 o'clock rolled around and 10 o'clock rolled around, and I was lollygagging in my hotel, kind of delaying this. Oh gosh, I don't really know where I am, how I'm going to get around, am I going to get lost? All of those things that come up. I realized at 10:30 that I'm wasting valuable time in this place that I want to explore. And so I went out. And I think one of the things that can help with this is if you have a destination, you can say, I am going to go to this monument. And you can go downstairs to the hotel and get a map, and they can show you where you are, and they can give you some directions, whether you're going to take public transportation or if you are going to walk, they can help guide you through that, right? They can map it out on your map. And so in that way, you can make it that much easier. But having a plan of where you're going to go will make you get out there. But you could also decide that I'm just going to go out and explore. And if your hotel is in the center of town, that makes it that much easier because then you don't have to get to the center of town. You were there and you can just kind of explore and kind of see what's what and decide from there. You can also decide to take a guided tour or do a hop-on, hop-off bus to get a lay of the land. There are certain things that can help you to motivate out of your hotel room, okay? So that is the third thing that I wanted to share with you about solo travel. And the fourth thing is something that I think many of you might be concerned about, and this might be the sticking point for you, is will I be safe? You know, as a woman, solo in a foreign country, will I be safe? And this is a question I get a lot when people ask me about my life in France and do I feel safe as a single woman? And this was not something I was really concerned about when I made my move abroad. I don't think it was necessarily something I was so concerned about when I started solo traveling either. But I think each of us has a different set of experiences that set us up for having concerns, different concerns. And I think safety is a big one. And not to say that safety should not be something you think about, but it's not something that I thought about in the way that I think some people do. So there are some things you can do to feel safer. One of the reasons I think that I am less concerned of being in an unsafe situation is that I have learned to tap into my intuition, to hear it, to see how it feels, to know that I can trust it by not trusting it and seeing how things have turned out, and honoring that. So Sonia Choquette, who has lots of videos on intuition, did a really interesting video that talks about red light intuition and green light intuition. And green light intuition is the intuition that tells us, oh yeah, this is what you should be doing. I had green light intuition about moving to France. It was like, yeah, you need to be doing this. I didn't know why I needed to be doing this, but I knew I needed to do this. And then there's red light intuition that is that intuition that makes the hair on the back of your head stand up on edge and say, oh, go the other way. There's danger here. Don't do something. So for me, I think that's one of the reasons that security or feeling like I'm going to be in an unsafe situation is not something that I put at the top of my list in traveling solo or even living abroad as a single female. So having said that, if you don't have that faith or trust in your intuition, or maybe you haven't really sensed it, that's okay, because there are other people who have done videos on solo travel as a single female. And one of them that I'm going to put a link to the description is Maddie Gold. Now, she is a woman who was living in Mexico, first with her partner and then later as a solo female, and did traveling, still travels to Mexico now. And she's done a quite in-depth video about safety and security in, being a single woman who solo travels. And I think that will be very helpful if this is a concern for you. So I'm going to put that link in the description as well. Okay? So I think this is an important topic because recently I have felt a little bit less empowered. And I recognize that others of you may be having a similar feeling. But you do have the power, you do have the authority, and solo travel is one way to show yourself that you do. It, like I said, it can be scary, trying to figure out how to navigate things when things don't necessarily go as planned, having a cool head about that. But when it's all said and done, once you've made your solo trip and you've had your foibles and you've had your successes and you make it back home safely, when you reflect on that, you're going to feel so powerful. And that was the case for my friend Felicia. When she got back home and she got a little rest, we spoke, and she said that she was so glad that she decided to take this chance to make this happen, even though the day before she was thinking, well, maybe I just don't go. She got on that plane, she came, she had the problem with the flight being diverted, we had a great time, and now she knows what she's capable of and more. So I want to leave you with this. If you are considering making a move abroad, or maybe solo traveling, or spending 90 days in a foreign country, but feel like you could use some support in figuring out how to make this feel as safe as possible, build that confidence, that you have that grit, that you have that wherewithal to do it, I would love to have a conversation to see where you are, what things might be holding you back, and how we might be able to work together so that you can take this wonderful step and experience the kind of life that is waiting for you on the other side of an act of courage. So I'm going to put a link to my calendar in the description where you can schedule a time to talk to me over Zoom, and we can decide together what your next steps are. All right. I look forward to speaking to you soon if that sounds of interest to you. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.